हेलो बच्चों, कैसे हैं आप सभी। आई होप आप सभी बहुत अच्छे से होंगे और खूब अच्छे से पढ़ाई भी कर रहे होंगे। क्लास की शुरुआत करते हैं। चैप्टर है दिल्ली सुल्तानेत। प्रिल्यूड हाइलाइट्स ऑफ द चैप्टर: राइज एंड डाउनफॉल ऑफ दिल्ली सुल्तानेत, मामलुक डायनेस्टी, खलजी डायनेस्टी, तुगलक डायनेस्टी, सैयद डायनेस्टी, लोधी डायनेस्टी, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ दिल्ली सुल्तानेत, इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स ऑफ दिल्ली सुल्तानेत। स्नीक पीक: दिल्ली सुल्तानेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, कॉजेज ऑफ डाउनफॉल। उसके बाद है स्लेव डायनेस्टी AD 1206 AD टू 1290, कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक, इल्तुतमिश, रजिया सुल्तान, गियासुद्दीन बलबन। और फिर है खलजी डायनेस्टी, जिसके अंडर आता है जलालुद्दीन खलजी, अलाउद्दीन खलजी, रिफॉर्म्स, मिलिट्री एंड इकोनॉमिक। फिर है कॉइन्स, मॉन्यूमेंट्स, इंक्रिप्शंस, तवारिक, जिसमें है तुगलक डायनेस्टी AD 1320 AD 1414, जिसके अंडर आता है सैयद डायनेस्टी AD 1414 AD 1451, खिजर खान। फिर है गियासुद्दीन तुगलक, मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक, फिरोज शाह तुगलक। और इसकी पॉलिसीज है टैक्सेशन इन देओब, शिफ्टिंग ऑफ कैपिटल, ब्रॉन्ज करेंसी। और इसी में आता है तुगलक डायनेस्टी में AD 1320 टू AD 1414 में आता है लोधी डायनेस्टी AD 1451 1526, बालुल लोधी, सिकंदर लोधी, इब्राहिम लोधी। The beginning. The Turkish invader Muhammad Ghori laid the foundation of Muslim rule in India. After putting an end to Rajput rule in the northern, Ghori left on his generals Qutbuddin Aibak in charge of his territories in India. When Ghori died in AD 1206, a tussle for power began among his generals. Soon Qutbuddin Aibak managed to establish his control over Delhi and the Indian territories conquered by Ghori. Thus began the rule of the Delhi Sultans. बच्चों, टर्किश इन्वेडर मोहम्मद गौरी जो है उसने फाउंडेशन रखी थी मुस्लिम रूल की इंडिया के अंदर। Sultan means ruler in Arabic. The rule of the sultans of the Delhi Sultanate lasted more than 3 centuries, from AD 1206 to AD 1526. From their capital in Delhi, they managed to establish their control over large parts of the Indian subcontinent. The dynasties: there were 5 successive dynasties that comprised the Delhi Sultanate, namely the slave dynasty founded by Aibak, the Khaljis, the Tughlaqs, the Sayyids and the Lodhis. We will read about them in this chapter through varied historical sources. बच्चों, इनके बारे में, खलजी के बारे में, तुगलक के बारे में, सईद के बारे में हम इस चैप्टर में अच्छे से पढ़ेंगे, जानेंगे। Sources to study the Delhi Sultanate. There are many coins, inscriptions and monuments which give us valuable information about the Delhi Sultanate. बच्चों, बहुत सारे coins, inscriptions, monuments हैं जो कि हमें दिल्ली सुल्तानेट के बारे में valuable information provide कराएंगे। Besides them, there are histories known as Tariq, plural Tawariq, which gives us insights into important events in the lives of the rulers. The Tawariq were written by administrators, poets, courtiers, etc., and also contain advice for rulers. Besides the Tawariq, there are other literary sources that shed light on the period, such as Amir Khusrao's Tughlaqnama, Ziauddin Barani's Tariq-i Firoz Shahi, and accounts of travelers like Ibn Battuta and Marco Polo. Apart from literary sources, there are several archaeological sources which tell us about the period. Important monuments built during the rule of the Delhi Sultanate include the Qutub Minar, the Qutub al-Islam Mosque, the Begum-Musri Mausoleum, the Moth Ki Masjid, and the tombs of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and Sikandar Lodi. Beside them, the various forts constructed by the sultans and the cities of Delhi also shed light on their ruler. Early Turkish rulers. The slave dynasty AD 1206 to AD 1290. The first sultan of Delhi, Qutbuddin Aibak, began his career as a slave of Muhammad Ghori. कुतुबुद्दीन ने जो है उसने अपने करियर की शुरुआत ही मोहम्मद गौरी के स्लेव के रूप में की थी। It was a common practice among Turks at the time to train loyal slaves in military welfare and administrative. These slaves often rose to become rulers themselves. As Aibak started out as a slave, the dynasty founded by him as also known as the slave dynasty. He and his successors ruled over India for almost 84 years. They were called Mamluk Sultans. Mamluk means slave. Qutbuddin Aibak AD 1206 to AD 1210. After declaring himself the Sultan, Qutbuddin Aibak concentrated on consolidating his position by performing matrimonial alliances. He married the daughter of Tajuddin Yalduz, a general of Qutbuddin Aibak Gauri, who gained control of Ghazni after Gauri's death. Aibak gave his sister in marriage to Nasruddin Kubukch, who controlled Sindh. He also married his daughter to his loyal slave Shamusuddin Hittumesh. Qutbuddin Aibak proved to be not just a clever ruler but also an able administrator. कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक जो है उसने अपने आप को न केवल क्लेवर रूलर के रूप में प्रूव किया बट एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के रूप में भी उसने अपने आप को प्रूव किया. He made many efforts to promote peace in his hands. He treated all his subjects with kindness and dispensed justice impartially. बच्चों उसने अपने सारे एफर्ट्स लगा दिए ताकि वो लैंड पर पीस को प्रमोट कर सके, सबको शांति का पैगाम दे सके. उसने जितने अपने काइंडनेस और डिस्पेंडेंट जस्टिस से सबका मन मोह लिया था. हिज जेनरोसिटी अर्नड हिम द टाइटल ऑफ लाख बख्श, मीनिंग द गिवर ऑफ लाख्स. Aibak was also a patron of art and literature. A number of scholars such as Hassan Nizami and Fakhruddin enjoyed his patronage. Aibak also constructed some Islamic monuments. He built two mosques, one in Delhi and one in Ajmer. The mosque in Delhi is known as the Qutb Aslam Mosque. Construction of this famous Qutb Minar also began during his short rule. कुतुब मीनार जो है वो कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक के टाइम पर ही बना था. ऐबक died in a polo accident in AD 1210. He was succeeded by Iltutmish. Shamsuddin Iltutmish, AD 2010 to AD 2036. Shamsuddin Iltutmish is considered the first independent sultan and the real founder of the Delhi Sultanate. He successfully secured the support of the Khalifa, who even gave him the title of the Sultan of Delhi, making him the first legal ruler of the Sultanate. It was Iltutmish who shifted the capital of the Sultanate to Delhi. Till then, Lahore had served as the capital of the sultans. When Iltutmish came to the throne, he had many difficult tasks at hand. He not only had to suppress rival Muslim nobles and generals but also establish his dominance over Hindu rulers who were largely independent of the Sultanate's control. He also had to deal with a possible Mongol invasion in the northwest. The Mongols were a fierce group of tribes from Central Asia led by Genghis Khan. Iltutmish was successful in crushing internal rebellions. He was successful in extending the boundaries of the Sultanate. Iltutmish proved to be a wise ruler. He tried to please his nobles by granting them land or jagirs. He recognized the nobility into a select group of 40 slave ministers called Chalisa, who were characterized by their loyalty to him. They were given him high posts in his administration and wield great influence. He also appointed officials to import posts himself. He divided his empire into small or big pieces of land called iktas, which were given to officials in lieu of salary. Iltutmish's rules served as a landmark in the medieval currency system. He introduced the silver tanka and copper jital, the two basic currencies of the Sultanate period. Razia Sultan AD 2036 to AD 1240. Before his death, Iltutmish had nominated his daughter Razia as his successor. He felt she would prove a more competent ruler than his sons. Chronicle Minhas Siraz also says she was more able and qualified than her brothers. However, the nobles were uncomfortable about appointing a woman to the throne of the Sultanate. जो nobles थे वो काफ़ी uncomfortable थे कि कैसे एक फीमेल को सुल्तान बना दिया जाए. So they appointed one of Iltutmish's sons to the throne. When he proved to be an incompetent ruler, Razia was finally made the Sultan of Delhi. She was the first woman to rule Delhi. So Razia Sultan जो थी वो पहली महिला थी जिन्होंने दिल्ली पर रूल किया था. To prove she was competent to rule over the Sultanate, she even dressed like a man, hunted, rode horses and fought bravely against rebels. Although Razia proved to be a wise and able ruler, she faced a lot of opposition from her brothers and nobles throughout her rule. The nobles, especially the Chalisa, they managed to imprison her and put on one of her brothers on the throne. However, one of the nobles, Altunia, fell for her and married her. Together, they tried to recapture her lost throne, but they were caught and put to death. Ghiyasuddin Balban, AD 1266 to AD 1287. Ghiyasuddin took over the throne of Delhi in AD 1266. His rule was marked with many internal as well as external challenges. He faced strong opposition from the Chalisa, who had become quite powerful. Some Hindu rurals, especially the Rajputs, had also begun to challenge the authority of the Sultan. Besides, the Mongols had become a major threat to the empire. Ghiyasuddin adopted a stern policy of blood and iron to consolidate his position. He reorganized the nobility and crushed the powerful Chalisa with a heavy hand, punishing them mercilessly. Some were even put to death. He suppressed the rebellions by Hindu rurals and established a network of spies to keep an eye on each province. He also built a large and strong army to protect against any internal rebellions as well as attacks from the Mongols. He even built a number of forts along the northwest boundaries of his empire to guard against any Mongol invasion. Administration under the Mamluk Sultans. The early sultans preferred to govern their kingdoms with the help of slaves rather than nobles or samantas. They felt that as the slaves were dependent on the sultans, they could be trusted completely. Therefore, the sultans, especially Iltutmish, appointed slaves brought by them for military service to govern and administrate their vast kingdoms. These slaves were called bandagans. The bandagans were trained to hold important posts in administration. The slaves were loyal to their masters but not to their hires and families. ये slaves जो थे अपने masters के प्रति तो लॉयल थे, लेकिन अपने hires और families के प्रति ये लॉयल नहीं थे, ईमानदार नहीं थे. As a result, every time a new ruler came to power, there was a lot of conflict between nobles who were loyal to the old kings and those who were loyal to the new sultan. The Mamluk sultans also gave pieces of land called iqtas to their officials. The officials who controlled iqtas were called iqtadars or muftis. They usually control groups of soldiers who help them conduct military raids and maintain law and order in the iqtas. The muftis took the revenue collected in the iqtas as their salary. They also used a part of the revenue to pay their troops. The muftis were constantly shifted and held iqtas for a short period of time. This ensured they remained under the control of sultans. As the sultans consolidated their control over hinterlands, they forced samantas to accept their authority. They even allowed their subordinates to levy taxes on the people. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं रिसर्च जंक्शन पर. सर्च एंड एक्सप्लोर वाई इट वॉज कॉल्ड द दिल्ली सुल्तान. बच्चों इसकी प्रैक्टिस आप खुद से कीजिएगा. नॉलेज जंक्शन पे आते हैं. द दिल्ली सुल्तान बिल्ट सेवरल सिटीज विच नाउ कम अंडर द रीजन ऑफ दिल्ली. दे आर लालकोट, सिरी, तुगलकाबाद, जहानापना, फिरोजाबाद, दिनपना एंड शाहनाबाद. ये सभी दिल्ली सुल्तान द्वारा बनाई गई सिटीज थी. Grasp and gain. Qutbuddin Aibak constructed the Qutub Minar in the memory of a Sufi saint called Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Khaki. Qutbuddin ने ऐबक ने ही कंस्ट्रक्ट किया था, बनवाया था कुतुब मीनार सूफी सेंट कुतुबुद्दीन बख्तियार खाकी की मेमोरी में. बट ही डाइड बिफोर कंस्ट्रक्शन कुड be completed. His successor Shamsuddin Iltutmish completed the monument, which is considered an exquisite example of architecture from the period. The minar is 73 meter in height with a diameter of 15 meter at the base, which decreases to 2.5 millimeter at the top. Built of marble and red stones, the red sandstones. The tower is covered with intricate carvings and verses from the Quran. The Khalji dynasty, AD 1290 to AD 1320. After Ghiyasuddin's death, a tussle for power began between Ghiyasuddin's successors and nobles. Finally, in AD 1920, an Afghan noble called Jalaluddin Khalji killed Ghiyasuddin's heir and took control of the Delhi Sultanate. He laid the foundation for Khalji dynasty. बच्चों AD 2090 में अफगान नोबल जिसे जलालुद्दीन खलजी कहा जाता था, उसने घियासुद्दीन को मार दिया और दिल्ली पर अपना कब्जा कर लिया और दिल्ली का सुल्तान बन गया. जलालुद्दीन खलजी, AD 1290 to AD 1296. Jalaluddin Khalji, also known as Firoz Shah, began his career in the army of the Mamluk sultans by the time he took over the throne of Delhi. He was 70 years old. He proved to be a mild and generous ruler. Jalaluddin ruled for a short time. Barely 6 years after he took over the throne, Jalaluddin was killed by his ambitious nephew Ali Gurshab और अलाउद्दीन. और अपने ही नेफ्यू द्वारा ये 6 साल तक इसने दिल्ली पर राज किया और उसके बाद अपने नेफ्यू द्वारा ये मारा गया था. अलाउद्दीन खलजी, AD 1296 to AD 1360. Just like the Greek ruler Alexander, Jalaluddin Khalji wanted to conquer the world. He even assumed the title of Sikandar Sani or the Second Alexander. Although his plans for a world conquest did not materialize, he did manage to build an empire almost as large as that of Ashoka's. Soon after taking over the throne, Jalaluddin launched a series of conquests to extend the control of the Sultanate. He conquered Gujarat, Malwa, Ranthambore, and Chittor and managed to bring almost the whole of Rajasthan under his control. Thus, under Alaluddin Khilji, the Sultanate's control was extended over a large part of the subcontinent. Alaluddin was also the first Sultan to extend his control over South India. His forces led successful raids in the Deccan and the South, defeating the rulers of Devagiri, Warangal, and Dwarsamdura. They also plundered Madurai, Srirangam, and Rameshwaram. The campaigns made Alaluddin quite rich. He, however, did not annex the territories he conquered. He allowed the defeated kings to continue as rulers once they agreed to acknowledge his authority and pay him tributes. He also set up a network of spies to keep an eye on the nobles and officials. It was also during Alaluddin's rules that the Mongols, led by Genghis Khan, attacked Delhi repeatedly. To guard his empire, he constructed new forts and repaired old ones along the routes in which Mongols were expected to enter his territories. The threat of a Mongoloid invasion also forced Alaluddin on to mobilize a massive army. Reforms by Alaluddin Khilji. In order to maintain his army, Alaluddin undertook several measures. अपने आर्मी को बचाने के लिए, अपनी सल्तनत को बचाने के लिए अलाउद्दीन ने क्या क्या किया था? रेवेन्यू रिफॉर्म्स. टू इंश्योर ए कांस्टेंट सप्लाई ऑफ फूड फॉर हिज सोल्जर्स, अलाउद्दीन raised the tax on farmers, known as kharaj, to 50% of the produce. This ensured his granaries were always full. There were also taxes on cattle and houses to meet the expenses of his army. Alaluddin required his huge revenues. In order to increase revenue, he recalled all land grants and forced samantas to pay taxes. He introduced a system of land surveys to fix revenue and appointed officials to collect taxes directly from the people. He appointed some of the samantas and landlords or revenue collectors. At the same time, he ensured peasants were not exploited. He did this by appointing officials to ensure revenue collectors did not collect taxes other than those imposed by him. To discourage corruption, he even conducted checks on accounts kept by officials. Military reforms. Unlike the earlier sultans who gave soldiers land grants in lieu of salaries, Alaluddin paid his soldiers in cash. Officials maintained a detailed record of each soldier. Horses were branded to ensure their owners did not substitute them for inferior ones. The troops were also inspected regularly. Economic reforms. Alaluddin's soldiers used the cash they earned to buy supplies from merchants to ensure the merchants did not charge hefty prices from soldiers. Alaluddin put controls on prices of goods in Delhi. He fixes the prices of essential items such as food, clothes, horses, etc. He also appointed officers who made sure the merchants did not charge higher prices than the approved rates. Alaluddin received daily reports from the officers. Any merchant who was found violating the price controls faced a harsh punishment. In this way, Alaluddin made sure the soldiers lived comfortably in the salary he paid them. Many of Alaluddin's policies were followed by later sultans and Mughals. After his death, there was a tussle of power for the throne of Delhi. Eventually, the sultanate passed into the hands of the Tughlaqs. The Tughlaq dynasty, AD 1320 to 1414. The Tughlaq dynasty was founded by Ghazi Malik, who had served as governor under Alaluddin Khilji. He took over the sultanate in the 14th century AD after killing the last Khilji ruler, Khusro Khan. After taking over the throne of Delhi, he assumed the title of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, AD 1320 to AD 1324. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq proved to be just a ruler. His stern rule helped restore order in the Sultanate. His reforms brought much relief, especially to farmers. Agriculture had suffered a great deal under the policies of Alaluddin and his successors. To help the farmers, Ghiyasuddin reduced the farm tax to 1/10 of the produce. He granted farmers respite from tax in times of drought and put an end to land surveys. He also built a number of bridges, gardens, and even built a new city called Tughlaqabad near Delhi. Muhammadin Tughlaq, AD 1324 to 1351. After Ghiyasuddin's death, his son Juana Khan succeeded to the throne and took the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Although a learned man, Muhammad became the center of much ridicule because of his impractical policies and administrative measures, which nearly ruined the empires. Historians find it difficult to decide whether he was a genius whose policies were ahead of the times or a madman. Therefore, he has often been called a mixture of opposites and the wisest fool in history. Moroccan traveler Ibn Battuta, who came to India during his rule, has written about Muhammad bin Tughlaq in his travelogue Rihlaha. Policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He lacked the vision to foresees the practical problems in the implementation of some of his ideas. These ideas later became so controversial that they made him unpopular. Let us read about them. Taxation in Daub. Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to expand his territories. To do so, he needed a well-equipped army. To equip his army, he increased the tax in the Ganga Yamuna Daub region. The region was fertile and farmers could easily pay the increased tax. However, the tax was imposed at a time when there was a famine, and this move caused resentment amongst the peasants community, causing rebellion. Muhammad bin Tughlaq realized his fault and tried to rectify it by offering loans, but he was unable to repair the damage as these measures were taken too late. The shifting of capital. Another controversial movement that Muhammad bin Tughlaq made was shifting the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, as it was difficult to control the Deccan from Delhi. He decided to shift the capital without consulting anyone. उसने बिना किसी की कंसल्टेशन के ही दिल्ली के अलावा उसने दौलताबाद को कैपिटल बनाने की ठान ली थी. According to a court chronicler, Delhi was as prosperous as Cairo and Baghdad. The shift brought about the ruin of Delhi. People were so inconvenienced by this move that many did not have the strength to complete the journey and died on the way. 2 years later, the capital had to shift it back. और बहुत सारे लोगों को इसके बदले में जान गंवानी पड़ी थी और 2 साल के बाद में वापस से दिल्ली को ही कैपिटल बना दिया गया था. Bronze currency. There was a shortage of silver for currency between 1329 and 1330 CE. Therefore, Muhammad thought of issuing copper and bronze coins that had the same value as silver coins. People now started using copper and bronze coins and began hoarding the silver coins. The cheap coins were used in trade and posed severe challenges. People even started mining coins at home. लोगों ने ये जो चीप कॉइन्स थे अपने घरों पर बनाना शुरू कर दिया एंड इट बिकम डिफिकल्ट टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन फेक एंड जेन्युइन कॉइन्स. और बाद में ये डिफरेंशिएट करना बहुत मुश्किल हो गया था कि कौन सा जेन्युइन कॉइन है और कौन सा फेक कॉइन है. लेटर दिस कॉइन्स वर विदड्रॉन. ऑल दिस इम्पैक्टेड द स्टेट ट्रेजरी. और इन सभी चीज़ों ने स्टेट की ट्रेजरी पर काफ़ी इम्पैक्ट डाला था, नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट डाला था. द लास्ट डेज ऑफ मोहम्मद वर स्पेंट इन सप्रेसिंग रिबेलियंस. दिस वाज टफ एज एम्पायर वाज टू लार्ज एंड देयर वर डिफिकल्टीज इन कम्युनिकेशन. This resulted in the disintegration of the Tughlaq hold on many regions. 2 important kingdoms emerged at this time, one in North Deccan known as the Bahmani kingdom, as the one in the South Deccan known as the Vijayanagara Empire. Firoz Shah Tughlaq 1351 to 1388 CE. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. His reign was marked by a period of peace. He kept the ulema happy and worked towards consolidating the kingdom. During his reign, there were not many rebellions as he did not try to regain control over the areas that had broken away. He introduced many reforms in the administration of the kingdom and patronized scholars like Barani. He contributed a lot to the welfare of his subjects. He built many rest houses, gardens and tombs and opened madrasas to encourage education. Many hospitals were built to treat the poor. He developed agriculture and irrigation by constructing 5 canals and bringing a considerable amount of land under cultivation. Tughlaq administration. Like the Khaljis, the Tughlaqs governed their kingdoms with the help of bandagans and clients. Clients were usually people of humble origins. They were often appointed to important positions. These nobles emerged as a powerful ground under the Tughlaqs. They headed the different departments of the government. Important officials in the administration included the Wazir, who headed the revenue department, the Bakshi, who served as the paymaster general of the army, the Qazi, who served as the chief judge. The Sayyid dynasty AD 1414 to AD 1451. Khizr Khan AD 1414 to AD 1421. After establishing his control over Delhi, Khizr Khan tried to extend his control over more territories but met with little success. He and his successors Mubarak Shah Sayyid, Muhammad Shah Sayyid and Alaluddin Alam Khan Sayyid were involved in a constant struggle to keep their control over their kingdom. It was during Alaluddin Alam Shah's rule that Bahlul Lodi, the Afghan governor of Sher Hind, managed to carve out a large kingdom in Punjab and set his sights on Delhi. In AD 1451, Bahlul Lodi took over the throne of Delhi and founded the Lodi dynasty. This established the rule of Afghans. The earlier sultans were Turks. The Lodi dynasty, AD 1451 to AD 1526. Bahlul Lodi, 1841 to 1889. After taking over the throne of Delhi, Bahlul Lodi tried to consolidate his position by crushing rebellions and conquering new territories. He managed to extend his control over the Ganga-Yamuna valley. He was succeeded by his son Sikandar Lodi. AD 1489 to AD 1517. Sikandar Lodi managed to further extend the control by the dynasty to Gwalior and Bihar. He even managed to sign a treaty with the ruler of Bengal. He founded the city of Agra, which served as his capital. He managed to establish an efficient system of administration. He tried to ensure all essential commodities were reasonably priced and even took measures to promote agriculture. He also encouraged trade in his territories. Ibrahim Lodi, AD 1517 to AD 1526. Sikandar Lodi's son Ibrahim was the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. He faced a number of rebellions during his rule. He was also unhappy with his senior nobles and replaced them with younger ones who were loyal to him. This displeased the older nobles who conspired against him and invited Babur, the ruler of Kabul and a descendant of Genghis Khan, in invaded Indian territories. Ibrahim Lodi fought against Babur in 1526. This battle marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and came to be known as the First Battle of Panipat. Ibrahim was defeated and Babur went on to establish Mughal rule in India. Administration of the Sultanate. The ruler of the Sultanate of Delhi was authoritarian and the rulers enjoyed absolute power. Their orders were unquestionable. There were officers to help the Sultan in his administration, like the Wazir, who looked after the revenue department, and the military officer known as Mir Bakshi. The office who looked after religious affairs was known as the Diwan-e-Rasalat. The Sultanate was divided into provinces called Subhas, which were further divided into Shiks. The Shiks were further divided into Pragans. A group of villages formed a Pargana, a province of governed by a Subedar who maintained law and order in the province. The Shikadar was the head of a Shik. The affairs of the Parangan were looked after by the Amirs. The villages was the principal unit of local administration. The village headman was called the Mukuddam. The chief officer of the Parangana, who was in charge of the villages, had the duty of collecting the land revenue. The Kotwal was in charge of the police department. The sultans maintained storage and strong and large armies. This helped consolidate their power over the kingdom. The army consisted of archers, foot soldiers, horse soldiers, cavalry and elephants. Revenue sources. The main sources of income during the Delhi Sultanate was land revenue. जो main sources था Delhi Sultanate के time पे वो land revenue था. Different taxes were levied on the people. The jizya was a religious tax on non-Muslims. Those who had no source of income were exempted from this tax. Zakat was a religious tax imposed only on rich Muslims, and it was 2.5% of their income. Other taxes include trade tax, horse tax, house tax, grazing tax, and mining tax. Causes of downfall of the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate came and conquered India by the force of their armies, but they never tried to win the confidence and love of their subjects. Most sultanates were deeply religious. Sultanates like Firoz Shah, Tughlaq and Sikandar Lodi imposed jizya, the much hated tax, on the Hindus. Consequently, the Hindus hated them and became their enemies. The Muslim nobility was also much to be blamed for the downfalls of the sultans. The armies and the nobles were too powerful and could be kept under control only by powerful rulers like Alaluddin Khalji and Balban. Whenever a weak ruler ascended the throne, they took advantage and rebelled against them. The empire was too vast to be controlled in those days when the means of communication were not so developed. Timur's invention gave the final blow to the already disintegrating sultanate, and the end of the Delhi Sultanate came with Babur's inventions. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं टर्म्स टू लर्न पर. तारीख, हिस्टोरिकल रिकॉर्ड्स, क्रॉनिकल्स. त्वारिख, प्लूरल ऑफ तारीख. मामलुक, स्लेव टर्न्ड रूरल. इक्तादर, land holding official, Bangdagan, slave officials, Chalisa, group of 40 elite officials, Iktas, land grants administrative units, Jagir, land grant nobility, Kharaj, land tax, Tanka, silver currency, Jital, copper currency, Samanta, feudal lord, Kuwat al Islam, first mosque in Delhi, Madrasa educational institution and ulema religious scholars. अब आते हैं let's recapitulate पर. The Sultanate Delhi exists from 1206 to 1526 AD. Qutbuddin Aibak started the Mamluk or slave dynasty. Iltutmish further strengthened the position of the slave dynasty by conquering kingdoms around and strengthening the military. Razia Sultan, daughter of Iltutmish, was the only Muslim woman to rule from India. After the fall of the Mamluk dynasty, the Khalji dynasty came to power with Jalaluddin Khalji being made the ruler by the nobles. His nephew Alaluddin Khalji killed him and ascended the throne. He was most successful Khalji ruler who expanded boundaries of the Sultanate. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. Muhammad bin Tughlaq succeeded him and the Sultanate reached its peak during his reign. Some policy decisions undermined the effects of his reign and led to his decline. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was not active military, but his stable governance gave the Sultanate security and progress. Timur attacked Delhi and its weak Tughlaq ruler could not protect it, leading to the end of the dynasty. The Sayyid dynasty lasted for a very short duration under weak rulers. Bahluk Khan Lodhi established the Lodhi dynasty. Sikandar Lodhi was a progressive ruler who encouraged trade, patronized learning and ordered the translation of medical texts into Persian. Ibrahim Lodi succeeded him, was not popular with the nobles and Afghans, who later conspired and invited Babur to attack. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं असेसमेंट जंक्शन पर. बच्चों आई होप आज की क्लास में हमने जो भी पढ़ा आपको अच्छे से समझ में आ गया होगा. अब आप इसके एक्सरसाइज की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा.